All right, hi third graders. Today for our FSA review, we're going to be reading some different types of texts. The one that I have for example today is a recipe. And the way that we read these different types of texts are going to be a little bit different than how we read a story or a nonfiction text that we're used to. Okay? Remember, we can always adjust our reading rate. You may need to read a little bit slower. Okay, and keep in mind that when we do see different types of texts, we're going to read them differently. So as you look at this one, we have our overall title, which our stories have, but it also has some subtitles. It has a list here of what would be the ingredients, because I know that already this is a recipe. I see that it has some numbers here, which are representing the measurements, how much of each of these ingredients I need. And then underneath that list of ingredients, it lists some steps that I need to follow in order to make this recipe. Okay. Now keep in mind also when you see a recipe, the type of text this is, it's chronological or sequential. Right? Because when we're making a recipe, we have to do step 1 before we can do step 2, before 3, and then last 4, or else our peanut butter balls or whatever you happen to be making won't turn out right. Okay, so keep in mind that recipes are a sequential ordering type of text. Okay. So we're going to go back over real quick some of the skills and strategies that good readers do when they're conquering texts. Remember, we want to preview our questions and the answers before we read our text so we know what we're reading for. We can adjust our reading rate depending on the type of text. We can chunk and annotate the text. Remember, annotating just means making notes off to the side. We can find evidence in the text so that we know what the right answer is. And then we can tackle any type of text we come across. Okay, and today when you guys do your own practice, you're going to be using different types of texts. Okay, so let's take a look at our questions first. So question 1 asks, select the tools that are needed in order to make peanut butter balls. It says draw a line from each tool to the box on the right. Okay, so that tells me in order which one goes first, which one goes second. So I want to make sure I pay attention to that. Okay, and then it says the following question has 2 parts. Okay, so I got to answer part A and then I have to do part B. How does the writer organize this recipe? Okay, by asking questions and answering them, by comparing peanut butter balls to other cookies, by explaining why baking can be difficult, by describing the steps from first to last. Okay, now I know it's a recipe, so I'm thinking it's D already, but I definitely want to read my recipe and check to make sure I'm right before I mark that one. Select one choice that supports your answer from part A. Okay, so my choices are add the peanut butter and corn syrup, stir well, recipe from the kitchen of, if you love peanut butter, you'll love this treat, here's what's cooking. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my text and I'm going to read through it, keeping these questions in mind. So I have peanut butter balls. If you like peanut butter, you'll love this treat. The steps are easy, but there's nothing to cook. You can make it all by yourself. So it says, here's what's cooking. The recipe from the kitchen of, and it almost looks like this is a recipe card, so you could like fill in your kitchen there. What you need: 1 1/4 cups graham cracker crumbs, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg, 1/2 cup peanut butter, 1/3 cup corn syrup, 1 cup powdered sugar. Okay, what you do. Step 1. In a bowl, mix together the graham cracker crumbs, sugar, nutmeg, and cinnamon. Okay. Number 2. Add the peanut butter and corn syrup. Stir well. Number 3. Roll heaping teaspoons of the mixture into balls. Place them on a large plate covered with wax paper. Put the plate in the refrigerator for an hour. Okay. Step 4. Take peanut butter balls out of refrigerator. Put powdered sugar in a small bowl. Roll each ball into the powdered sugar until it is covered. Okay. Those sound pretty good. All right, so I'm going to go back to my questions. So question 1, remember, asks to select the tools that are needed in order to make peanut butter balls. Draw a line from each tool you select to the box on the right. Okay, so I know I'm going to need to look at the steps of making peanut butter balls to determine which tools I need. I have a bowl, a paintbrush, wax paper, and a rolling pin. Okay. Step 1 says in a bowl, mix together. So I know I definitely need a bowl. Okay. Step 2 says add the peanut butter and corn syrup, stir well. Well, none of the things left are going to help me stir. Roll heaping teaspoons of the mixture into balls. Place them on a large plate covered with wax paper. Ooh, there's wax paper, so we need that. Put the plate in the refrigerator for an hour. Okay. Step 4, take the peanut butter balls out of the refrigerator, put powdered sugar in a small bowl, roll each ball into the powdered sugar until it's covered. Well, I don't need a rolling pin to do that, and I didn't need a paintbrush to do anything either. Okay, so the 2 tools that I needed were the bowl and the parchment paper. And did you guys notice how I went back? I didn't just guess, right? I went back through my steps to make sure I was picking the ones that the steps talked about that I needed. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2. So part A asks, how does the writer organize the recipe? By asking a question and then answering it? He didn't do that. By comparing peanut butter balls to other cookies? No, didn't do that either. By explaining why baking can be difficult? Didn't do that. In fact, they told us that there's nothing even to cook or to bake. Okay, so D is by describing the steps from first to last. And that was definitely in here. So I'm going to go ahead and circle that one. Right down at the bottom it says what to do. So it described the steps. So then part B was asking me to select one choice that supports my answer for A. So I had picked that the author described the steps from first to last. So I'm going to want to pick something that shows that it's describing steps. Add the peanut butter and corn syrup, stir well. That one is definitely one of the steps. I'm going to put a check mark by it, right? It's step number 2 right here. So I'm going to put a check mark because I think that could be an answer, but I want to read my other choices first. I want to reread them. So I have a recipe from the kitchen of, that doesn't tell me a step. If you love peanut butter, you'll love this treat. That doesn't tell me a step. Here's what's cooking. And that doesn't tell me a step either. So I was right. It is A. Okay. So did you guys see how for A, even though I read the first one and I thought pretty confidently that that was the answer choice, I still went ahead and read my other answer choices just to make sure that that was the right answer. Okay? So as you guys are reading your texts today, and there's going to be 3 of them, I want you guys to do just what I did. Make sure you read the questions and answers ahead of time so you know what you're looking for. Adjust your reading rate depending on the text. Chunk and annotate the text if you need to. The recipe didn't quite lend itself to that, but some of our other texts do. And then always find evidence in the text to support the answer that you are choosing. All right, good luck today, 3rd graders.